Talk about hang on, let me just turn off my mute. I was on double sound there. So we're going to talk about the trade rumors. Also, Mitchell Robinson contract. You know, the Knicks will be eligible to extend Mitch. So we're going to talk to our guy, Jeff Ballone, a.k.a. the Knicks Film School originator on that topic. And RJ Barrett's all-rookie team snub, Rookie of the Year snub. Let's talk about that and what RJ is going to do to bounce back in his sophomore year. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Salute to everybody in the chat. All right. I mentioned this a couple times, once on the lottery night and on another show, and that is that sources are telling Knicks Fan TV. Yeah, we got sources now, JLs. You know, every once in a while we get
so now you the insider, Mac.
I'm not inside. I'm not a journalist, but you know, every once in a while we get the birdies. You know, birdies come through and talk to us. So what the birdies are telling us is that number one priority this offseason for the Knicks will be trading Julius Randle. They're going to look to trade Julius. And the first trade rumor that I'm hearing is Julius Randle to the Utah Jazz for Mike Conley and draft considerations. Now, obviously, from the Jazz standpoint,
I like that.
Yeah, from the Jazz standpoint, you know, there's been questions in terms of Conley's fit and his chemistry out there with Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, he's taken a step back. The Jazz are going to be looking to re-up Donovan Mitchell this offseason and keep their team competitive in the West. For the Knicks, obviously, it's something that, you know, the stretch four position is something that it's no secret the Knicks have been looking to fill. And also the point guard position, you know, and if they make this move for Conley, it's a stopgap until they figure out, you know, whether they get one in the draft that they're going to bring up or they get one later on down the road. So what do you guys think, man? Conley for Randle swap. JB, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I think it makes sense from the standpoint of, well, Julius Randle is somewhere else. We're not watching him. But no, love or hate him. I think though, thinking about what's coming back, I mean, you're taking a guy who I know his third year on Randle's contract isn't fully guaranteed, but in Conley coming back, I think for so long he's been like in your mind of like, here's a guy on this over-bloated contract, you know, let's not touch him. But his contract expires after next year, so you're basically saying, okay, there's no one really right now that we necessarily want to spend money on or go after. So bringing Conley, it gives you that veteran presence point guard position. You play out this year, and then you're free to do what you want in 2021. And meanwhile, you move Randle's contract. And then if you've got draft considerations on top of that, I mean, to me, on first blush, I think you'd have to, you know, I think it sounds pretty good to me.
JL, so what's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, it's a decent move if you're trying to, like Jeff said, you know, just get an extra draft consideration here. Like, we haven't really utilized our roster spots correctly in the past, where we just seemed like everybody had to play and everybody was kind of, you know, crowded for minutes. And let's be honest, I don't expect Conley to play a lot next season if we trade him. So for me, it's almost like a Chris Paul-ish move, but without the, you know, the activity where you're just getting a coach. If you draft a point guard in the draft, or if you're letting Frank play, you have somebody to kind of move him along, and you get a draft pick back, and he's expired. So it's an okay move for me. And then it's almost like addition by subtraction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get rid of Randle. Hopefully you sign a stretch four who can start, give room for RJ, and you kind of get better by osmosis, by addition by subtraction, and at the same time see what RJ can do with the extra room.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I've said this all year. You know, I understand the fans' frustration with Randle. I felt like he was a guy that played outside of his normal role, you know, meaning that he came here, he had to be the number one guy. And we know that's not who he is. He had an up and down season. Obviously you wanted to see the 3-point shot be there for him. It definitely dipped off from his last season with the Pelicans. Not a guy that I want to give away, but if you're talking about getting draft capital back, I would certainly look to do that. Obviously, it frees things up for RJ and Mitch. If you look at how these teams are running, man, a lot of these teams, they're opening up that 4 spot. It's a lot of wings, a lot of versatile wings. You're seeing a lot of small forwards in that 4 spot, guys that can stretch the floor. Do the Knicks go with Bertans in free agency? Do they go after Danilo in free agency or Christian Wood? Do they give that spot to Kevin Knox, right? If Knox moves in, does Iggy move up on the depth chart? They have a lot of options. That's the thing with the Knicks this offseason and moving forward. They have a lot of options, and I think you move Randle, you have even more, especially if you're going to be talking about getting some draft capital back. So I would definitely look into it.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt you too.
Oh, sorry. Go on. No, go on, Jails. Go ahead.
Yeah, he doesn't hurt you too bad from the 3-point line. Like, he shoots 37% from 3, puts up a decent amount, 5.4, which is, pretty decent, which is something that we need. Doesn't shoot well in general. That's kind of a little bit abysmal. But again, I'm not expecting him to play all that much. I really don't expect much health from him. And if he is healthy, then we win, I guess.
Yeah, I disagree with you, JLs. I think he would play a ton. And first of all, you can get Peyton out of there, which I'm 2 thumbs up on that. I think Conley coming in here would play a ton, even if you go draft a point guard, whether it's at 8 or at 27. I think.
What I mean is health wise, like he hasn't played.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, like he's had 12. Yeah,
Got you. Yes, from an injury standpoint, yes, it's certainly a risk. But yeah, like I said, I think you can still go out and get him. Still draft your point guard, have him groom that point guard. And if he's healthy, I still think he can help this team, even though, he's taking a couple steps back a little bit. So I think it's a win-win for both teams.
Yeah, no, and I think the other thing is people, since last offseason have wanted the Knicks to use their cap space for things other than just signing free agents.
Mm-hmm.
And here's an example of, I'm assuming, that draft considerations is partly because they're moving a large contract where, Randle is I guess, he makes less.
Randle's about 18 and Conley's 34.
Right. So you're freeing up like $16 million of immediate cap space at a cost. And the Knicks, because they have so much cap space, they don't have to match salary if they do the trade after clearing off some of their non-guaranteed contracts. So they can just absorb it back. So to me, it's also like a benefit from that standpoint. Mm-hmm. And I think, one thing on Randle is, it's easy, I think, for Knicks fans, tired of seeing him do the same sort of things last season, and it got frustrating. But it's, if Mitch wasn't here, if Mitch wasn't like a center, a cornerstone piece,
right,
then you can maybe make an argument for how Randle can fit into the right offense. You got a new coach coming in, and maybe that can help, right? But it just doesn't make sense when Mitch is the guy that you want to develop to have Randle, playing next to him.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I think that they will look to deal him, because like I said, with Utah, they want to keep the Spider happy. They're gonna max him out. And I think they're going to look for that cap. They don't have much cap space. They're not working with much cap space right now. And so you do that deal, it frees them up. They can go out. Maybe they go out and try to get Danilo in here. Certainly there was a need for front court depth. They showed that in the bubble. They struggled to provide some depth behind Gobert, some scoring depth as well, especially with Bojanovic out. So I think it's a trade that makes sense for both teams. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Brick City, Newark. Towen is with us. He wants to weigh in on the point guard situation. What's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing?
How you feeling, bro?
I'm all right. You? I'm just looking at the NBA. It's starting to be like rap music, like the mumble rap thing. As far as I'm serious. You got mumble rap, and then you got people that like lyrics. So now, when it comes to basketball, everybody's looking for a point guard that scores 30 and 40 points. It's not like back in the day when you got a point guard that distributes the ball. You know what I'm saying? The conventional point guard. And then you got point guards in your own backyard. Like you got a Shamari Pons looking for work. You got people like Marcus Levette out of St. John's. He's a passer and he can score. I mean, it's not too far to look. You know what I'm saying? That's just my thought of it. And then as far as drafting a point guard, I would go with Tyrese Halliburton because I mean he's more complete. The next complete thing to Ball, that I believe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's who I would want to run the backcourt. We got scorers. We just need to get a point guard that can distribute the ball to these people. That's it.
Appreciate the call, man.
That's all I got. Thanks.
I mean, we definitely need some scorers. I'm going to disagree with you on that one. We definitely need somebody that can put the ball in the hole. But, I think his point is that there's plenty of ways to skin a cat. No, you don't need the next Kyrie Irving, but until you get that person on the wing that can be that dog for you, you're gonna look for the point guard, man, to get you guys in order and be that engine. JB, I haven't spoken to you since the lottery and everything. What are your thoughts on the draft? Are you point guard or bust? Is there a prospect that you like so far? What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I mean, I always say with the draft, I don't watch these kids, so I'd be making things up to tell you I really like one guy to the other. But, obviously falling to 8, it just, to me, opens everything up. I really think it makes it more likely they move that pick, whether it's to, acquire a veteran guy or to move up, or I guess to move back, right, to get more picks. So no, there's, I think people are convincing me that what's it, Poku they call him?
Yeah,
I know
Pokusevski,
yeah, I know Macri and Spencer and all them. They're trying to convince me on him, but I think a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, he seems like the safe pick, but it seems like no one is really excited about him. And you worry about the Knicks making a move like that. So, but like I said, I just don't know these prospects well enough to feel like, oh, they got to go get this guy versus they got to go that guy. But back to that caller, I mean, to me, that has been something, though, I feel like we have talked about for a little while with the Knicks, where it's always about they got to go out and get this point guard. And it's usually about a point guard who can score. And it's like, I don't know, a lot of really good teams. I know now we're seeing it with Harden and the Rockets, but traditionally, to his point, you don't have your point guard being your leading scorer always on
it's
teams,
the wing,
right?
It's the wing.
Exactly. So I see his point there too.
Yeah,
if you have a playmaking wing,
right,
then it doesn't behoove you to get a point guard who can do all that for you. But since we don't really have a playmaking wing, I know RJ has potential to maybe be that, even though he hasn't really played that role. And we don't really know what we have with that. But until we have a playmaking wing, then it just seems more essential to have a guard who can at least, bare minimum, to me, break down the defense without a screen, which is why I wouldn't go Halliburton, even though I do like Halliburton's game in general. I just feel like we do need someone who can knock down threes, break down a defense, and set the table a little bit for the guys around us.
Yeah. I think it all depends on who you have. And you guys have both made excellent points, right? The wing being that playmaking engine. I think Halliburton is going to be able to help any team just based on his profile, his defensive acumen, and his catch and shoot prowess from 3. It's just who is that next piece, whether it's at the 3 or the 4, that's going to put the rest of the pieces together. You know what I'm saying? So again, interesting. But I'm like you, JB. I go off of mainly profiles, right? Like around that time of the 8th pick, you're seeing a lot of wings at that spot. You're seeing some 3D wings. You're seeing an Isaac Okoro, who many are comparing to a Jimmy Butler type, right? And my point is swing for the ceiling, swing for the highest ceiling. Whoever they have on that draft board, I don't want to go safe. If Halliburton, if Vassell are the safe picks, go somewhere else. Swing for the fences at 8 and see where you end up.
I think that's fine. And every draft, the data best versus fit. It's we go back and look at these drafts. And when are you ever going back looking at a draft saying, oh, I'm glad this team took this player because of the position? Like, you're just looking at who are the best players taken. Yeah. Now, I will say you don't want to necessarily draft a guy that you have some, like we have Mitch, if you're going to keep him on the team, and I guess will be the next topic we talk about long term, then obviously you might hurt the development of a player at the same position. So maybe he doesn't realize his potential the same as he would if he was somewhere else.
Yeah.
So in that regard, it makes sense to consider position. But otherwise, yeah, just you really got to take the best guy. That's what's going to matter in the end.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Back to the phones. Let's go to West Coast. Josh from San Diego is with us. Josh, how you feeling, man?
What's going on, CP? How you doing today?
How you feeling, bro?
Not much. So first thing I want to say is I think that would be a really good trade for the Knicks to make the Randle for Conley straight up trade. But I do want to defend Julius Randle a little bit in this standpoint because I know a lot of Knicks fans hate him. Mm-hmm. Julius Randle was our best player last year, and we really didn't have a really good point guard to really handle the ball like that, and we had no spacing. Just because Julius Randle was doing the majority of the ball handling, and which is not really something that he's really good at, I feel like Knicks fans are really just criticizing him a little bit too much. I think if the roster was a little bit more balanced and you had that spacing on the floor, Julius Randle will be more of an asset than a detriment to the team. So that's number one.
I agree.
But all that being said, I do like that trade. I think bringing Conley, even though his contract is steep, you have a point guard right there, former All-Star, not only his scoring ability, his three-point shooting, and his ability to distribute and everything like that. So I think that's a really good deal. And last thing I want to say, I really don't like the fact that Knicks fans are calling Mitchell Robinson a cornerstone. I really am struggling with that because the guy really can't do really much on offense. I mean, no other franchise would consider a player like Mitchell Robinson a cornerstone. Mitchell Robinson is someone that's going to develop into a complementary role player type of player on any other team that you put around others. But us as Knicks fans, we don't really have anybody else, so we call Mitchell Robinson his cornerstone. I just really struggle with that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, interesting, and that's a perfect segue to JB's article with the Daily Knicks. Because JB, you wrote about some of the contract options that the Knicks will be facing in terms of Mitchell Robinson's future. Man, just talk a little bit about your piece there and what you were thinking.
Yeah, no, I think that the question is exactly what that caller brought up, right? Like, he is a cornerstone in the sense of based on the assets the Knicks currently have. You look at Mitchell Robinson and RJ Barrett, and those are your best assets, right? But in terms of when you're now thinking about he signed a 4-year contract, but since he was a second round pick, and this is what I covered in the article, his contract works a little different. So normally when you are a first round pick, you're on a rookie scale contract. And after 4 years, you become a restricted free agent. So the team gets a chance to keep you. But what's different, and we saw this with Nikola Jokic in Denver, is if you're a second round pick, after 4 years, you become an unrestricted free agent. So you're free to go anywhere. So the Knicks are in a position right now where, since it's the 2nd year anniversary of his contract, he's now eligible for an extension. And they need to decide, do we extend this guy now thinking he's going to develop into maybe, either a star player or a role player that's so good they can't live without him? And I feel like that's a better way maybe to describe Mitch. And if so, can you extend him now for a cheaper price than if you wait until either next year when you can make him restricted or the year after when he's unrestricted? The problem though with doing that is he's so cheap right now. He's going to make $1.6 million next year and $1.8 million the year after that. So you have to say to yourself, well, geez, if we do nothing and he develops like we think he does over the next 2 years, he's going to be expensive, but we just got all that production for less than $4 million over 2 years. So there's a lot to consider there.
Go ahead, Jails.
It's like stock, man. It's just like it's like stock, like buy high or low. I mean, I think bare minimum he's going to be a rotational piece, even if he develops a little bit more on the defensive end, which I fully expect on the Tom Thibodeau. I feel like he'll be a rotational piece for years to come. So I would definitely try to extend Mitch personally, and just
right now. I
would extend Mitch personally.
Yeah,
and then see what happens. I fully expect him to develop at least as a guy who can, set a proper screen, block some shots, get the rebounds. I think that's going to be in his future. Now, whether he expands his offensive game is another story. He seems like he's done that a little bit in high school. He's putting in the work in the summer. Will they let him go? Will they let Mitch Shamgod? Who knows?
Well, I mean, look, I think, and this is my guy. Y'all know I go to war for Mitch, but I would wait. I would wait. Keep the cap flexible. Continue to build with complementary pieces. You don't know if you're gonna have to go out and get a 3-and-D wing or another stretch 4 or point guard. Keep the cap flexible for the next 2 years. And see how his game progresses, right? Two things you're gonna know. You're gonna know that they're gonna be upgrading in talent over those next 2 years. So you would think that his game is automatically gonna elevate. But my question is, what will Tibbs, Kenny Payne, Woodson, how will they get him to expand his game a little bit? Not turning him into AD, baby steps here, but can he put the ball on the ground a little bit, right? Can he pass it a little bit? One thing about Tibbs' offense is, whether it was Noah or Karl Anthony Towns, he had a big that was better than average at passing. Noah increases his assists per game from 1.8 before Tibbs up to 5 at one point, 2013-14 season. Obviously, I don't know if Mitch can get to that point, but again, my question is, from a development standpoint, how much will his game evolve over the next 2 years?
Right.
And I'm willing to take my risk to go into free agency and say, okay, at this point, who do we have on this roster? Where are we going? And now, does it make sense to use his bird rights and give him a bag if that's what he commands?
Like, here's my thing, though. If I feel like, me personally, if I feel like he's going to be at least this, when I say extend him, I'm not saying extend him for the, if I'm extending him and giving him security, I'm coming to the table with at least like, $7 million around that range, like a little under market value,
a little bump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's right. That's the key. Right.
Exactly.
If you're gonna extend them, you got to get them on that discount. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not going to give him.
The question though is what the discount, like how much of a discount?
Rich Paul's not going for no discount, man. Rich Paul and discount do not go hand in hand.
But it's just like that. I think that's the big debate, right? That's happened on all these Twitter threads that we all jump on. It's like, well, how much is he really worth right now? You know, and I think that's a tricky thing. And I think especially, like you're alluding to, with playmaking, and maybe under Tibbs he can develop these things, but to have a big man in a modern NBA who doesn't shoot the three, isn't really a playmaker by any sense of the word. He just really does the things really a traditional big has done just really well, right? Like that's kind of what he does. But even that, a traditional big had post moves, right? Like had some sort of offensive game away from the 2 feet around the rim.
Yeah.
So you are really, like, you have to be so elite at those skills to justify, a large percentage of the cap. I think waiting, it allows you to see if he's going to develop anything outside of that.
And that's why I'm waiting. And not only that, on the offensive side, how about his discipline defensively? Like, he had improved from freshman year to this year in terms of just staying out on the court, but he was still, I think per 36, he was still averaging about 5 fouls a game. So, can he stay on the court? Is he going to be a liability when they throw more switches at him and he's guarding 3s and 4s and 2s out there on the switch? Can he stay out there on the court and not be a liability from that standpoint?
Well, plus, I'm going to throw a hand grenade into this, but 2 years, and I know we can't say this guy's name anymore, but let's just pretend, let's forget the trade for a second. Kristaps Porzingis, after 2 years, if you talk to Knicks fans then, when we talk about cornerstone player, right? Like, to me, that's the other thing with Mitch is it's like, if you are a hoops junkie or a fan of the team, like what Mitch can offer. But I think that there is a feeling that, the Knicks or the Knicks community feels his value is a little higher than maybe the broader NBA community does right now. And I just can't decide, would that allow the Knicks to sign him to a friendly deal or not? Because right now you're not competing against anyone.
Right.
So there's no way for him to see there's not anything else out there higher. So you might end up paying him more? Like that's what I'm not sure about. So it's a tricky situation, but I just think, it's not a home run, and you gotta wonder, like, do you make a gamble at a time you don't have to when it's not a home run?
Agree with you wholeheartedly, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Creeping up on 600 on YouTube. Salute to everybody once again. Please share these videos. Salute to everybody watching on Facebook. If you guys are new in the chat, leave us a hashtag new so we can shout you guys out. So far, we've covered a potential Randle deal. Randle for Conley. Leave a comment in the chat. Let us know what you think about that. And Mitchell Robinson. What is Mitch's worth down the road to this team, and when do you see them? When do you feel like they should try to re him up on the deal? Because I know Clutch, Rich Paul and Clutch are not gonna go quietly into the night on that contract. Well, you can guarantee that one. Who else we got in the chat here? Salute to all the mods. We got Ty Champ, team hashtag new. Welcome Ty Champ. Anthony David in the chat says keep Bobby Portis. We got to vote for Bobby Portis.
Oh wow.
In the chat. All right. Keep Bobby's been working. Bobby's working this offseason. We got Kamario Jarvis checking in from Bermuda, I think. So salute Kamario. All right, let's get to the phones. Haven't heard from my guy in a while. Ron Cleveland in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Ron, what's going on, man?
Man. What's going on, CP, Ellis?
Ron, how you feeling, bro? Talk to me, man. How you been?
Man, hey, I've been doing good, man. I've been doing good, man. Hey, I'm listening to you guys, man, and I got to start with Mitchell Robinson. I mean, it's a no-brainer to me. The guy is a cornerstone piece for the Knicks. You go ahead and you sign him now because it's going to be cheaper to keep him at this rate, and you think about it. You can get that guy, you can lock him up for about 5 years and that 40. And even at 5 years, $40 million, you're talking $8 million a season. Even if he don't progress any further than what he does now, that's still a good deal for the Knicks.
Yeah.
We won't believe with that. You know what I mean? And the thing is, when you look at the reason why you would go ahead and lock him up now and why I consider him a cornerstone, we look at some of the games that this guy has where he just seriously just takes over the game and don't even have a go-to offensive repertoire other than putbacks and dunks, putting stuff back around the rim, rebounding, shot blocking. Mitchell Robinson is a problem, and the ability that he has at his size, even to stay in front of guys that's smaller than him. The guy defense is exceptional. So that's what makes him a cornerstone piece. You go ahead and sign him and you keep him. You think about it, when the last time that we had a defensive player with the mindset like him, with the ability to do that? Yeah, Kristaps was a good round the rim protector, but not the ability to move his feet like Porzingis. I mean, not like Mitch. You know what I mean? So you go ahead and you do that. Julius Randle, he has to go. He has to go. You can't keep Julius Randle and RJ. Both them guys like the same spots on the floor. It's gonna clog the lane up. You gotta move on from Julius Randle. Plus, we know he's not the future. We're not gonna keep him. That Conley move, from what I'm hearing, I don't have a problem with that move at all. CPJ Ellis, man, and I tell you the reason why. We've been looking for a point guard since Stephon Marbury. We hadn't had a point guard since Stephon Marbury. Let that sink in. Let that really sink in. So, Mike Conley, and the thing is, do we want to wait on a point guard to develop? We know New York is impatient. We're impatient. Let's just be real about it. We're impatient. We can't afford to wait. We need to go ahead and just get somebody established. If we can't get Van Vliet, go ahead and get Conley. But we got to get an established point guard. And I ain't even messing with getting Chris Paul, telling you the truth. Yeah. But we can't get no point guard we got to wait on. And with that, fellas, that's my take on it. Y'all have a good evening. Hey, Nick's family, we gonna roll, man. There's a new sheriff in town. His name is Leon Rose. You heard me?
Salute, Ron. Good to hear from you, man. It's been a minute. Listen, every point guard's not gonna come in and shine like John Morant. It's gonna take some time, and that's why I think having a stopgap. I said CP3 earlier. I was on board. I think his price may change. We'll see what the cap situation. How that influences everything. But again, you bring in a Conley, it's a nice stopgap. Maybe you can get him for way cheaper, come down on that deal a little bit once that deal expires and have him in there as a caretaker until your point guard of the future makes his way up.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with that. And to go back to Mitch too, like I know he's not perfect on defense, but I still feel like the potential to guard wings and switch and block 3-point shots. I don't think there's that many bigs out there who can do that, which is why I'm intrigued by keeping Mitch around. Yeah, and like I said, extend him, but not give him the full big man bag, but like the Capella. Yeah, exactly. Not the Capella bag, but this is like, listen, we're gonna invest a little bit in you because I feel like you'll be this at least.
So the max that they could give him right now in extension, the way it works, would be, I think it was 4 years, $56 million. They could put in a signing bonus in there. But what about that? Like we're talking, I think everyone agrees those $7-8 million, that's a pretty safe contract, right, to sign. But if it was more like 14, 15 million, which I've seen that a number that people guess he could be worth, which again, that's not a max contract, but
no.
What about that? You guys think you'd be comfortable with that?
No.
Nah,
that's
I'm like,
that's too much.
Nah, it's a little bit too much of a gamble. Yeah, 7 to 8, maximum 9, closer to 10, but 14 now. That's too much.
Okay.
Not right now. That's my guy. I'm telling you right now, that's my guy. But I would wait it out. And again, if they feel like he's worth it, I'll go over the cap to sign him, pay the tax, whatever it is. If they're at a place where keeping him makes sense.
Yep.
So, again, interesting debate, man. Interesting debate. Super chats came in. Raw Hebrew Remnant said Mitch is special, period. Extend him now. He said 3 years, 24-36. So, yeah. So he's saying between 8 to 12. We should stop dissing our own players. Dude is 22. No, it's not dissing them all. Maybe people in the chat are dissing them, but no, it's not dissing them. It's just it's a debate that the front office is gonna have to, have. It's a realistic conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Berman,
especially like we
go ahead,
like bro. Sorry, I was gonna say, especially though, like we're saying, you're comparing to, he's gonna make 1.6 and 1.8. So you got to ask yourself over the next 2 years. So it's not even like, what is he worth? You also have to compare it at, you can keep him for just that amount for 2 more years.
Right.
That's
exactly right. So to Alan Berman, he says, can Conley spin into 3 defenders and lose the ball with the game on the line? Yeah, I really want to lose that. Hashtag Dizzy Gang. Hashtag Dizzy Gang. Hashtag Keep Mitch.
Dizzy Gang.
Listen, man, Julius, he just had the heart of a champion. That's all, man.
Yeah, I feel bad for Julius sometimes, man, because I know like we roast him so bad, but he's not that bad. It's just a bad fit, man.
He's not. That's it. Bad fit, exactly. And it just took him longer than it seemed like it should have early in the year to realize when there's 5 guys around me, and even like if he got caught along the sidelines, it's like the whole other team is surrounding you. Just that visual should be like pass the ball, and he wouldn't,
Well, if he's here, hopefully, Tibbs will, get him going. That's all we can hope for is just more development. And if they bring in, they're bringing in his big man coach Kenny Payne. Hopefully, they rein him in if he's still here. Shout out Mingo Kersey. He's team #new. Salute to Mingo Kersey. Everybody in team #new. Salute to everybody. All right, let's get another phone call in here. Let's go down south, Florida. Skrilla in here. What's going on, bro?
Hey, what's up, fellas?
How you feeling, bro?
So I agree. My fault. Yeah, I agree with Ron. I think I feel the same way about Mitch. I think we should lock him in. before Tibbs turns him into Defensive Player of the Year, basically. Because I think that's going to happen. And I'll tell y'all something too. I think the same thing with Frank. I think because Frank's contract's about to be up, I think we should lock him in before he turns into something and get him on the cheap and maybe lock him in for like 4 or 5 years and have that kind of defense, 2 defensive guys, real young, you know what I mean, locked in for super cheap before they, do something to increase their value.
JL, so you want to say something? Go ahead, bro.
I'm a Frank fan. Like, I like Frank, but I feel like we have a lot more leverage with Frank than Mitch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, as much as I like Frank and I think he can be a good piece, I wouldn't lock him in just yet. There's a lot more to prove with Frank to me. So, yeah, that's how I see it on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the leverage point, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, what can Frank even ask for right now, right? So
yeah, Frank has no leverage, and he's completely replaceable. I mean, let's just be real. Right now, he is what he is right now. I'll take him, and let's see how he executes Tibbs' system, because you're going to need guys like that here for sure. But, he has no leverage, really.
Right, but I mean, to the caller's point, though, the teams who guess right about this stuff, right? You lock these guys in when you can get when you have all the leverage as a team, and you can get when you guess right. That's the difference maker, right? When you Golden State, for everything they did, their key thing was they got Steph Curry coming off that injury, right? So it's all about signing these guys where it gives you then the flexibility to do other things. So, it's just, I guess, a matter of, do you think, Frank and Mitch are those pieces or not? But if you guess right, that gives you a big advantage.
It's a game for sure. Go ahead, Jails.
Oh man, nothing important. Just something stupid. Like I always thought if the Knicks actually did draft Steph when he went through his ankle problems, I feel like we would have traded him.
They would have traded him for Melo anyway.
We would have messed it up and traded him.
They would have traded him for Melo, man. His ankles would have never healed. His ankles would have never healed, man. Somebody in the chat said that Julius blocked Macri. Is this true? We need confirmation.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Julius blocked. Yeah. He was on Nick of Time last week, and he was talking about Julius, and he went to check up some stats or something, and then he couldn't see anything.
He was just passing by and got blocked. Oh my god! My guy Alex Strataro said he got blocked. He didn't even know what he did.
Hey man, I got blocked by Joe Budden.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
right.
That's because people refuse to take Joe Budden's. We had like a year-long debate. A Knicks debate, and somebody threw Joe Budden in there, and he repeatedly asked, like, "Yo, can you please take me off this thread?" Nobody did it.
Nobody took him off, and I just got blocked by association.
JL,
and then we've all been blocked by Howard Beck. So there you go.
I haven't been blocked. I haven't been blocked by Beck, Isola, no players. I don't know. I've been keeping a clean streak so far.
I guess so.
Isola did hit me on the DMs one time though. A couple times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so you're part of that club.
Yeah. So I am part of the Isola DM club. That weird thing he's got going on.
Well, I'm not part of the DM club, but he did hit me in the comments real spicy like a year ago. And he was like, "You can do a podcast, huh?" And I was like, "Oh, we should come on."
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh man, I forgot. Oh, this was summer of the draft. Speaking of Frank, summer of the draft. This is the first show of Knicks Fan TV, so I'm taking a break from recording my vlog, and I'm at a bar. I'm at a happy hour on a rooftop, and so people are talking to me because they see me recording and they see me with the Knicks gear on. So I'm talking to some random dude, and he mentioned Isola. I'm like, yeah, Isola's a hack. He's trash, blah, 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 blah. And dude was like, oh, he's actually my best friend. We went to high school together.
Oh, man. That's like one of those commercials, Need to Get Away.
Yeah. I was like, oh, well, yeah, he's trash. All right. Wesley from Brooklyn, what's going on, man?
Hey.
How's it going, bro?
I just want to talk about the draft.
Okay. What are you thinking?
Being that we got such a late pick, I was thinking that they should draft the point guard Grant Riddler. And since we got two, I thought they should two first round. I think they should get Vernon Carney from Duke.
Okay. I mean, and
And
I cut him off. Go ahead with your last point, bro.
The center.
Who?
Udoka. Azubuike.
Azubuike, yeah, from Kansas. All right, appreciate the call, man. I mean, from what I read, I'm not a draft expert by any stretch, but it seems like a guy like a Grant Riley you can get way later in the draft. Maybe he's there at 27, maybe at 38. You know, if they can get him. I'm hearing good things about him. You know, people have some good things to say, but not at 8. You know, you're not going to go with him at 8. But, yeah, but I'm hearing good things about Grant Riley. But he should be there for 27 or 38. Another OG back with us, Jay Ellis. This is a reunion show. Max from the Bronx in the building. What's going on,
Max.
Yo, CP, Jay Ellis, what's good?
What's going on, bro?
No, CP, Jay Ellis, what's good?
Good.
I can't hear y'all if y'all talking.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, we good. We good. Go ahead with your point, bro.
Hello?
We good. Yeah, we good, bro. Go ahead with your point.
You hear me?
Yeah, loud and
All
clear.
right, so,
Good.
All right. So cool. So yeah, we gotta trade Julius Randle because we all know, you know, we can't have that because people actually think RJ had like a bad season, and he had like the worst spacing ever in history of freaking basketball. Yeah. It's like it was worse than '90s Knicks basketball watching them play last year. You know what I'm saying? You can't have Julius on the floor. You need to develop your guys. So I asked you guys this question. You guys were debating whether you should pay Frank. Now, there's a guy named in the playoffs called, what's his name? Lou Dort, right? Now, is Lou Dort better than Frank? I don't know. Is it really a debate? Can Frank do exactly what Lou Dort was doing in this playoffs? Of course he can. You pay that man, you pay him 4 years, $20 million, $25 million, get him on the cheap, have him be coached under Tibbs, and then watch him grow. We have like the worst development staff in the last couple of years. You can't just sit there with no good players, with some rookies and some young players. You know that. You didn't know how to develop nobody. You pay Mitch. You don't trade these players. You grow players. That's what Denver does. That's what smart organizations do. Now, one more thing in terms of the draft. In the draft, I think we should wait till like the second pick of the first round to maybe think of a point guard. Right now, we need as much spacing and versatile players as possible. So if you need an Aaron, I think his name Naismith, who shot like 50% from 3, or the guy that Vassell, you need those kind of players and open the floor up for RJ and Mitch, and you'll see RJ can have his 20 points this upcoming year if you develop the team the right way. And I'm still not down on Knox like that. I think Knox is he needs some fire under his belly, but Knox can hit a wide open 3. Knox can play, if he grows some muscles, he can play a small ball 4. You know what I'm saying? So I think this team is not as bad as people make it seem. I just think we need to develop these players the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear you, man. And again, at 8, they got options. Obviously, I don't think the trade up is going to be there for them to get LaMelo, but I think Hayes could be there for them. Halliburton could be there for them. Where do they rank Lewis? Where do they rank Cole Anthony on their point guard depth chart? How do they feel about Okoro if he drops, or Toppin, or Vassell if he drops? The Celtics with 3 first-round picks, 12 players under contract, they could be a trade-down partner starting at 14. You know, I think there's some prospects there for the trade down as well. So it all depends. It all depends on how the Knicks draft board looks and how they want to utilize it. But again, I wouldn't reach up for the point guard if they don't feel like, you know, he's there for them at 8. Yeah, I wouldn't reach up. There's a lot of point guard prospects in this draft. They feel like they can get a guy that they want to develop in their system at 27. Go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
No, I think it's that, especially when guys can drop. Like, you know, someone like Killian Hayes, he's all over the place on the board, right?
Right.
So you could have a guy that you might have 3rd on the whole board that is somehow available at 8. So to me, it's the guys like that have a lot of variability that could be interesting at 8 because, like I said, you could have him really high up your board, and for whatever reason, he fell to you.
Man, If Killian is there at
That's
8,
your
I'm
guy,
taking
right,
him.
Jails?
That's my guy. If Killian is there at 8, I'm taking him. I don't expect him to get past Detroit because I know they need a point guard too, and I know they got Derrick Rose and all. But he's a little older, and I feel like they want to go with a youth movement and might use him as a trade chip eventually. But yeah, I'm going Killian if he's available, and I'm not turning back.
Yeah. Hey, I would have no problem with that, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Just a reminder, tonight's episode is brought to you by Manscaped. JLs and JB, man, the Nuggets bounced back heavy last night against the Clippers, and the people at Manscaped want to protect your Nuggets. That's with the Lawnmower 3.0. It's cordless. Excellent battery life, comes with a state-of-the-art ceramic blade to keep you safe from nicks. And this is the perfect grooming tool, the number one men's grooming tool for below-the-waist hygiene. Make no mistake. LED light, like I said, waterproof, great design. Right now, go to manscaped.com to get 20% off plus free shipping with promo code NICKS. Manscaped.com, promo code NICKS. All right, just had to pay bills a little bit. Max had spoken about RJ, and speaking of RJ Barrett, the Rookie of the Year announcements were made, and John Morant, to no one's surprise, made it. Salute to John, he was an absolute beast. RJ finished 8th. RJ Barrett finished 8th. Did you guys, JP or JLS, did you guys have any issues with the standings and RJ's finish?
I mean, he had to get that 1 third place vote to make the list, and I've been saying that I think it's Berman.
That was Berman. That was definitely Berman.
Because you saw him in comments, being like, "How are people voting for Zion? He played 19 games before the Orlando thing, right?"
That was Berman.
Definitely Berman.
To me, I just have a hard time with looking at should he have been 6 or 8, whatever. I think it's just clear he clearly wasn't one of the best rookies, so I don't have a problem with it at all. And I'm not going to get upset if he's 8th instead of whatever number you want to tell me he should have been. It just it's not all his fault. He came into a situation. You're a rookie. You start off 4-18. You have a new coach. Then you got the president changeover. The spacing, everything we've talked about, right? So it's not all his fault. But he just clearly, to me, wasn't one of the top rookies, whether it's partly his fault or not. His true shooting percentage amongst, I think all players was one of the worst in the NBA. So, there's a little blame everywhere there. But, he wasn't one of the best rookies. Let's put it that way. We know that is true. Should he have been higher than 8? I guess you guys can tell me what you think there.
Yeah, that's what you thinking.
He should be higher than 8. That's real. I get the issues and stuff, but he still was wasn't he top 3 or top 4 in every category but shooting?
Yeah, I guess it was really advanced stats. Advanced stats, he was terrible, right? On the surface, when you talk about points, rebounds, assists, yeah, he was up there with the rest of them. Just advanced stats. Was he much of an impact rookie? I think that's where the question was.
Yeah, advanced stats is like the Twitter stats, but it's to me, I mean, I guess for me, just like we said, you see what happened. I guess for me, considering how bad the spacing has been, I feel like he still was able to kind of produce a little bit despite the bad spacing. And even though he wasn't finishing crazy because he had 3 or 4 people draped over him like a cheap suit, he was still able to draw I think he drew the most fouls out of anybody. So he still made something from nothing with the bad spacing. So I don't know. 8th is ridiculous to me, man.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. It's. I think he's gonna look completely different with shooters around him, and he's gonna look way better.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true.
I think he'll look a lot better. I mean, what happened to the shooters? They brought in Ellington, they brought in Bullock. Those guys had reputations for being good shooters, man. They did not deliver for him. Kevin Knox did not come through for him. I think yes, RJ was dealt a bad hand, especially in the beginning of the season when you were dealing with guys that dominated the ball like Julius Randle, Marcus Morris, and even Peyton, whose favorite target was Julius. So I think he caught a bad hand there. Free throw shooting and just regular field goal percentage needs to improve. Absolutely, no doubt about it. In terms of the list, once you get out of the contention, right, the contenders, which is top 3, Ja ran away with it. So there was really second guessing it. So I think once you get out of like that top 3, everything else is just like whatever. I think once you see Zion at number 2, you can throw the whole thing in the garbage because
that's the thing. Yeah.
A kid that plays 19 games and you put him up there at second place, that's just ridiculous. You know, that's just a complete slap in the face. I think Hero got snubbed from the list completely.
I was going to say, that's who I was going to bring up. He's the one that you could,
yeah, Tyler Hero's a damn assassin. He was completely off that list.
On a good team.
On a good team.
On a good team.
On a good team. But, you know, if you look at the rest of the guys on this list, Kendrick Nunn, obviously Miami had an outstanding season. Zion, waste. Brandon Clark had a great season. Great season for Memphis. He was outstanding. I thought Kobe White played okay. I thought he was okay. Second half, he finished strong. Eric Pascal on a worse team than the Knicks.
Gets the votes.
You could argue statistically was a bit better. Terrence Davis, again, world champs. He played a role on Toronto, and then RJ finished 8th. So, whatever. I think RJ is going to use that for motivation. We know he's in the gym. His trainer was on Twitter saying that he's working on his shot. He's working on his shiftiness. So let's see how he bounces back for year 2, man. But I'm looking forward to RJ year 2.
Yeah, me too, man. He was progressing. I felt like he was progressing in the last couple of months before this whole shutdown ended. I saw the free throw percentage was climbing month to month. I saw the 3-point percentage was climbing month to month after that injury, or at least week to week. So hopefully he builds on that and RJ is good next season.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned the free throws, right? Like he draws fouls, he gets to the line. So to me, that is the big thing. I mean, it's the least advanced stat, free throw shooting, right? Like, you know, he's got to knock down those free throws. And, you know, we're talking about who's a cornerstone player or not. I mean, if you're going to have Mitch and RJ 40% of your lineup for the foreseeable future, you know, if RJ's not going to shoot, you know, that really makes it where you have to overcompensate now at all the other positions.
You got to make sure you hit.
Yep. You know, which is why my issue even with LaMelo Ball, like I know now, you know, they'd have to trade up and everything, so maybe that doesn't happen. But I just kept thinking to myself, you're gonna have 3 guys that you're building around, and you're not sure any of them can hit a jump shot. Like that's. You know, so anyways, that's where I want to see improvement is with the shooting. But there's so many other things that, like you said, to be excited about. He is still young, and I think in the right spot, he'll be fine.
Well, when you think about Tibbs, and you think in particular about the Butler comps, right? I mean, Jimmy's shooting percentages weren't that great coming in. He was a better field goal free throw shooter than RJ in college coming in from Marquette. He was always above 75%. But you look at a Jimmy who his 3-point numbers were pretty abysmal this season, shooting 40% in the bubble. You know, and when it comes to RJ, if you're going to look at Jimmy and how he's being used, and of course, in the context of Tibbs, you know, what about the clutch factor, right? Like, what about those traits that don't pop necessarily on the stat sheet in the regular season, but just, you know, what Butler's showing, man, in this bubble is he's a gamer, bro. He's a dog.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that dog is coming out. Go ahead, JLs.
Nah, I have nothing. Yeah, he has that it factor, man, for sure. And I saw somebody mention the post game of RJ too. That's something else to think about too, because you know, with these advanced NBA that they still like to shoot the 3, but I think Tibbs still likes to be in the post a little bit. So you might see a little bit more post RJ this season as well. Yeah. And and he's been pretty good on post ups last season. Man. I don't remember the stats off my mind, but I feel like he was in top percent, like points per possession in post ups.
Yeah. Well, I think anything that they could do to augment, obviously, his lack of foot speed, lack of athleticism, he's got to use his size to an advantage. And if that's working out the post, if you can get, you know, easy movement to the 3-point line out of the post, I think that's a plus. You see how they use Jimmy on those side pick and rolls to get him downhill. I think you're going to see more of that with RJ and Tibbs as well. Let's see who's going to be on those weak side corners. Is it going to be Dotson or Knox or Frank or so on? You know, utilizing RJ's strengths to elevate the rest of the team. So it's going to be interesting to see. All right, final call of the night. Let's go to the BX. Mario's with us. Mario, what's going on, man?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing tonight, man?
How you feeling, bro?
All right.
Real good.
I'm good. Yo, CP3, I called you last week, and you kind of went at me when I was telling you about Obi Toppin, and you was cracking jokes. It's all good. It's all love. But I did mention that Golden State was interested in Frank, and you guys were like that I was crazy, that maybe they might want Frank and Julius Randle for that second pick. Want to know if you actually saw that rumor on the news on the website today, because it was up.
No, man.
And also, if you had to keep Mitch or RJ, which one would you rather keep? I think I'd rather keep Mitch than RJ. What is your take?
Man, appreciate the call, Mario. I didn't hear that rumor, man. I don't. That's not out there. Man.
No way.
That's not out there.
I didn't hear that either.
That's not out there, man. I think the Knicks would walk Frank and Julius to Golden State from Manhattan on foot to go bring that number 2 pick back. So,
hell yeah.
Nah, I don't think that's happening. But
no way that's happening.
Yeah, he likes Obi at 8. We'll see. I think Obi could slip, and I think he could be a possibility for the Knicks. So we'll see what happens. Man.
That's a 2K trade if I ever heard.
Yeah, I agree, man. Fellas, real quick, your reactions. Our neighbors across the bridge signed Steve Nash as the head coach of the New Jersey Nets. What did you guys think about it?
JL, it's your borough, so you go first.
I mean, listen, I am not. This is like a really boom or bust move to me, because if I'm the Knicks and I'm doing my usual takes on these things, I have a hard time throwing a coach in, making him the head coach who's never coached before in his entire life. I just can't wrap my brain around that concept. Like, my first day, I'm just gonna run a whole franchise. Like, this is a learning curve for me. Like, it's not just coaching, it's managing personalities, it's managing assistants, it's like levels. So for me, I mean, I feel like it looks good on paper, but it might be rough.
Yeah,
that's what I mean, maybe he'll have Kyrie's ear, bare minimum, but you know, X's and O's and defense and managing personalities, I don't think it's long term. At least I don't know. I don't know. It might blow up if it doesn't turn around quick.
JB, what were your thoughts on it?
No, I mean, it has to worry you, the fact that, you know, it seems like Durant and Kyrie are kind of just calling the shots, right? That's who it is, and we get it. That's what comes with, you know, being able to get those guys, right? So, but no, I mean, I completely agree. I just think it's a risk move. Like, you can hit the jackpot, right? Like, for all we know, there's stuff that they know about Nash, his pedigree, that it makes sense, and he's ready for this, and it just works. And then, you know, the roster is the roster. I mean, we can talk about coaching. I've said this about the Knicks, where, you know, everyone's like, well, what do you think about the hire? What do you think about the hire? It's like, the roster, get the roster better. And guess what? The coach is going to look good. Now, again, when it can make a difference, I think, in the margin. So if you're the Nets and you're thinking, I'm going to compete for a championship, I don't know. Like, does this make it where maybe you max out a little less than that if you know, you're throwing someone into the fire who's not ready for it yet?
Exactly.
You know, so there's no way though anyone could walk away, I think, feeling like this is a great move.
Right.
There's a lot of risk there.
Listen, I think they were going to make a splash once they got rid of Atkinson. I thought, you know, they could have went Jeff Van Gundy, to a lesser extent Mark Jackson, but he's absolutely blackballed. So I think Steve Nash was also a big move for them. As you said, JB, it's about the horses, man, and right now they have it. And with KD coming back healthy, you have Kyrie, you have Caris LeVert, who put his name on the map in the bubble. Do they keep Dinwiddie? Do they bring back Harris? They come back with another year of Jared Allen maturity under their belt. They're gonna be a nice team, man. Just give credit where it's due. They're gonna be a very good team. So again, it's gonna come down to late game execution. You know, sidelines, out of bounds plays. You know, those late situations. Is he gonna be ready for that? Who's gonna be? I think Jock Vaughn is gonna be the associate head coach. I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the staff has rounded out yet, but obviously they're gonna give him a guy that has extensive experience on the sidelines as well. So they bring in Jock Vaughn for that. I will, Stephen A had come up with the topic, well, not come up with the topic, but he came out saying that, this was a white privilege situation, that Steve Nash jumped over all these guys and got the job. I disagree in that, yes, there is an issue in terms of diversity in sports, period. In basketball, you only have 5 black head coaches. Football, it's even worse. Whether it's coaching or the executive levels. But I think there's a blurred line between what should be considered privilege and what is just relationships.
Yeah,
because this to me does not happen without Katie and Kyrie signing off. The Atkinson ouster was definitely them. Them bringing in Steve Nash was definitely them. This is who they wanted, And Ty Lue, same thing. Ty Lue walked right into a championship in Cleveland. That was LeBron. Yeah. LeBron wanted, and David Griffin wanted, but that's who LeBron wanted. So I disagree with Stephen A. in terms of, this was a privileged situation, because if this is who the players want, this is who they know, who they've worked with, I can't knock him for making that decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's not and Derek Fisher too. Derek Fisher just came straight from a game, right, and started coaching the Knicks.
Right, well on his way to being one of the worst coaches in Knicks history.
Yeah, Jason Kidd did the same with Brooke. Like it's happened before with black coaches. Like you said, there is a diversity problem, but I mean it's more like who you know. With that situation specifically, it's more who you know, and the all-star cachet, man. The all-star cachet has a lot to do with that as well. Steve Nash is one of the best point guards to ever play the game. So
that's it, man. JB, where are you at on that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, to me, I think that I come from it in the two sides of, if it was in terms of how it was covered, right? So if it was the Knicks, I feel like that point would be picked at even more. Although I have seen, since I originally kind of brought that up, that more people have been talking about that with the Nets. I defer to you guys, I guess, more on this, because it's something that I think is obviously more personal to you to touch. But I think the lack of interviews is something that maybe you look at where you say, okay, yeah, they handpicked him, but that doesn't mean you can't have guys come in for interviews, give them a chance. Even when a guy's name gets in the news that he's going for an interview, it helps elevate his status, right? So maybe you can help guys out that way. So to me, I think that's another area that you say, well, why not at least run through some interviews first, right? But I see what you're saying. It's different where this was the star player signing off on it. If it was just the front office and it's like, a white general manager making this decision without any input from anyone around him, I think you look at it a little bit different.
Yeah. Like a Rooney Rule, right? They have the Rooney Rule in the NFL. Is it good? Is it great? Probably not, because they're still going with relationships. It did get a Mike Tomlin his job with the Steelers. Steelers only had 3 coaches in their history, in the history of the franchise, right? They had Chuck Noll, they had Bill Cowher, and I believe it was Tomlin. Very few coaches. Don't hold me to that, but my point is they had very few coaches. But Tomlin got in as a result of the Rooney Rule, got them a Super Bowl championship, and the rest was history. I think I like your point though, JB. It's like, even if you don't intend on hiring that candidate, like the Knicks with a Jamal Mosley, right? His name has now begun to percolate throughout the league. You have Udoka, whose name is starting to kind of resonate throughout the league. So maybe just getting those interviews with those high profile clubs and just getting your name out there will kind of help you down the road.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. It's an interesting debate, man. Definitely interesting, especially where we at in sports and society at large, man. Yeah. But good conversation, fellas. Great show, JB. Definitely appreciate the return of Knicks Film School.
That's right.
To Knicks Fan TV and the Nick of Time show. JB, I'm gonna throw it over to you to sign out, man.
Yeah. No, thanks, guys. It's good to be back. And then obviously now you can find me on Daily Knicks, but also the Strickland. For anyone who hasn't checked it, it's a new site. It just came out with probably a lot of the writers you're used to seeing either on Twitter or reading from Postin' and Toastin'. The website's a little different, so it's the strick.land. So it's not like the strickland.com, it's the strick.land. But definitely check that out, because it's some of the more like in-depth Like if you're a diehard Knicks fan and you're tired of just like all like kind of like rumor stuff, whatnot, you go there and you know you can go down some rabbit holes on some topics, and there's a lot of good stuff. So I want to make sure I gave, and I've been right in there occasionally too. So I want to make sure I gave them a shout out.
Strickland has been beasting with the
man.
pen.
Woo.
JL's.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, shout out to you guys. Thanks for having me as well. No new episode for Nick of Time Show this week, but definitely check out the old episodes on youtube.com/Nick Time Show. Check the Macri interview that we had talking about trading down. Definitely check that out. And yeah, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the KOT Show on Twitter, Nick of Time Show on Instagram, and check the blog too at nicktimeshow.com. That's all. Back to you, CP.
Yes, sir. Great show, fellas. And salute to everybody that joined in. Once again, over 600 people joined us. Once again, remember that this show is available in audio podcast format, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Amazon Alexa, iHeartRadio, everything is all on the Knicks Fan TV. Remember to hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Share these videos. Leave a comment in the chat. Leave a comment after we end this show to continue to support. I want to just salute some extra super chats that came in. Joshua Smalls sent the super chat. He says, Mitch is a cornerstone. 14 to 15 shouldn't be a problem. Lock him up now. He will be more expensive once he hits that unrestricted free agency market. Canal Ben Lawa says, Barrett, Frank, and Portis for Wiggins and the second. They get cap space. 2 young players that play defense and move the ball. We get 2 picks. Don't think Golden State would do that, but appreciate the super chat. He also says, he said the same thing. No love for my super chat. RJ, Frank, and Portis for Wiggins at the second pick. Appreciate the super chat, man. I just don't think Golden State would go that route. Michael Parker, number 1 fan of the show, he says, trade Barrett for the second pick. I don't see it happening, but Michael Parker's out on RJ. He says RJ's extremely overrated. If Golden State is dumb enough to bite, let the Knicks be the team that fleeces for once. The steal of the draft is Alexei Pokusevsky.
There we go.
So he's throwing his name in the Poku wagon. We have a nice video on Alexei Pokusevsky as well, man. Check it out on Knicks Fan TV as well.
Yo, Pokemon is gaining steam, man.
Pokemon is gaining steam. Good nickname, JLs.
Yeah. Copy. I'm a nickname king, so
trademark that. Shout out DJ's Mans, Hampton VA 757 in the building. Paul Butler, Chuck Allen, appreciate it. All the mods, appreciate it. JL, so you want to shout out, man?
Oh yeah, definitely shout out to everybody in the chat. DJs, man, shout out to you, Gregory Lee, my guy Fritz holding down as usual. I saw my guy Wayne Pettin, our childhood friend. Shout out to you, Wayne. Haymaker, Edward Figueroa, Sammy Soso, everybody, man. A Santos, Gregory Castillo, shout out to you, man. Always holding me down. Shout out to you,
yes, sir.
And
everybody be
else.
Good. Mm-hmm. Enjoy your Labor Day. Enjoy that with your family. Be safe out there. We'll catch up with you guys, man. Number 1 show for the